Right. What? What's the title of the video, Dan? Chemtrails, contrails, and why would the government want to control the weather? Okay, I'm just flat out putting those in the title. Chemtrails and contrails. Wow. We should have, I don't know how many Wikipedia little notes at the bottom of this video. Weather manipulation, baby. Why would the government want to control the weather, Dan? I mean, what's in it for them? There's no, what's the purpose of controlling the weather? Well, it's already started, okay, and it started a long time ago, I'm sure of it. And I hear people say, well, why, Dan? Why would they want to control the weather? Why would they generate these huge storms and cause destruction and all the rest of this stuff that you're implying that they're doing? Well, in order to control a population, what you really need is you need a common enemy for the population to focus on. Okay, when there's a common foe, an enemy that has to be dealt with, people tend to be distracted by that. Okay, they tend to get behind a government that's going to protect them from that. Okay, now with the way the world is now, it's becoming more unacceptable to go to war with other countries. And let's face it, when you're the biggest power in the world, there's not that many countries that are really going to go to war with you and cause problems for you. So we have to start manufacturing some problems. So we start manufacturing the obvious first thing to manufacture is a terrorist threat. So the government starts manufacturing so-called terrorists, which gets people all irate. Another thing they manufacture is fake illnesses, which gets everybody all paranoid as well. But what you really need is something that can be controlled, that everybody can see and everybody can observe, and really truly has a destructive power that people can be fearful from. These fake epidemics and everything, that's difficult. I mean, you can propagandize it in the news and everything as much as you want, but unless you're actually seeing the guy next door bleeding from the eyeballs, it's a bit hard to, you know what I mean? But nature, this whole idea that having this enemy that that's been there for a long time, has been sitting there dormant, and we've awoken it with so-called global warming into this monster. And it's honestly, if you can control the weather, it's the perfect enemy, because there's nobody else to blame but nature itself. You've not got to deal with people getting upset, because how can you get upset at nature? It's almost the perfect thing to be at war with, in terms of there not being any repercussions for the government. Now, the problem is the government has to keep it strum that they can manipulate the weather. Now, they obviously release this. I've did a video on a NASA release. They have to, for some reason, they have to put the truth out there. I think it goes along with the whole prank thing of gaining more power over people if you can fool them, and put the evidence right under their nose that they're being fooled. But the weather's the perfect way to do it. what you can do. You have an area that's economically not doing so well. You just go in there and blast them with a few storms. All of a sudden, people have got to start spending money on rebuilding things. You have an area that you want to depopulate. You hit them with huge amounts of droughts. You hit them with wildfires. I don't know. It's such an easy thing to do if you can manipulate the weather. Now, so the real question is, can they really manipulate the weather? Well, the NASA data says that they can that plane contrails are could be, in my other video I go into this, but could be responsible for, they know they put those contrails produce when they're there and persistent. They form a cloud, cirrus cloud layer, and that can change temperatures. And we all know what weather's about. It's about changing temperatures, changing convection currents around the world. It's as simple as that. If you want to change the weather, you've got to heat one area up and cool another area down. Change the flow of the atmosphere that's moving around the Earth, and voila, you have a different weather event to what would have occurred naturally. My famous saying, it's not really rocket science, this stuff. It's basic heating and cooling, just on a larger scale. But anyway, so if we can do this, the question then comes into mind, because I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist here, but the question soon comes to mind as to whether they even need to even spray chemicals in order to change the weather. Just simply flying a plane in the right level of cloud where they know there's moisture, which is not really a difficult thing to do. All they got to do is fly the plane up, and when they see a trail, they know they're in the right level of moisture, and away we go. If they don't see a trail out the back door, guess what? We just need to change altitude. It could be that simple. Or what happens if the atmosphere isn't cooperating? You simply just spray out what you need to spray out, and this is where the chemtrail theory comes in, with the spraying out of certain particulates. Who knows what the hell they're up to, really? But I know they're up to something, because if you go and observe, I know as a little kid, I would observe a jet flying, leaving a long condensation trail, and it always caught the attention of myself back then, because it always looked like, like a shuttle takeoff or something, like a real rocket, the way that thing left that trail. I, as a kid, and I can't believe that air traffic has multiplied that much since then, but I, as a kid, do not remember the vast quantities of planes leaving trails that we see today. And you might say, well, Dan, you're living in a different part of the world to where you were living when you were a kid. Well, yeah, I am, but I'm seeing videos that people are making in England, and to tell you the truth, nearly every video I watch seems to have a bunch of condensation trails in it, an absolute load. And I do not remember those growing up as a kid at all. I remember one or two random, and I played outside a lot as a kid. We didn't have, the age that I'm talking about is sort of 6, 7, 8, 9. We never had computer games when I was that old. I mean, it was outside doing something, basically, I guess, or watch the half an hour or an hour of kids' TV that they had on. Wasn't very much back in them days. Something's very fishy with the whole situation. and people are oblivious to it. I mean, they just don't care. They just do not care at all. Some people think it's normal. Some people just don't care, and some people just don't notice. So I don't know where we're at with this whole thing. I know that the idea that you can have an air layer, I understand. The arguments that explain it away are fairly reasonable. But anybody with a bit of common sense can see what's going on. I don't want more else to say about it. It is what it is. It's obvious weather manipulation. They obviously know what they're doing, and they're ramping it up. And ramping it up quite a lot. And I don't know where we go from here. All I can do is just keep doing videos talking about it like this, and hope that a random one or two people see it that haven't been exposed to it before and start picking up on it. That's all I can do. Trying to get the word out a little bit. If anybody's got any other ideas about how to deal with this, let me know in the comments. But it's really up to the pilots that know what they're doing. I would guess that in order to carry out something like this, it would probably be easiest to just have a unit based out of the military that just goes out there and supposedly runs, I don't know, let's say runs what do they call them? Maneuvers. I can't think of the word right now, but you know what I mean. They go out and they do their practice runs or whatever they want to do, and it's simple. You only got to have one guy on the end of the radio telling them where to fly, and that's that. Yeah, it's not a difficult thing to control really, and it could be as simple as just flying the planes in the right altitude, or then we get into the chemtrails if the moisture isn't cooperating in the atmosphere. But when you go down the road in the morning and you've got moist air coming out of the exhaust of your car, you're not usually leaving a persistent trail that goes on for miles and miles and miles, because that's really what we're asking ourselves to believe here. That spreads out into there's no other evidence of it that we can observe at ground level. So it's all pie in the sky, listening to theories from people that control the system. So where are we at? And you'll get the Agent Smith types, scientists that just they've read it somewhere else and they regurgitate it religiously. And that's the problem we've got right now, is people believe in stuff. Anyway, that's it for this one. Cheers, bye.